Listen to me for a moment. Hard times don't ask for permission. They show up at your door, uninvited, unannounced, and unmoved by your comfort. But there's something they can't take from you unless you hand it over: your strength, your voice, and your ability to rise again. Every one of us goes through seasons that feel heavier than we expected, days when you wake up drained, moments when life presses on you from every side. But what if these moments aren't here to break you? What if they're here to shape you? I want you to hear this with clarity. You don't thrive by avoiding hard times. You thrive by learning who you are in the middle of them. Hard times reveal the part of you that comfort never calls out. Today, I want to talk to you about how to grow when everything feels like it's working against you. Because strength doesn't show up when life is easy. Strength shows up when life pushes. And if you let it, this season can grow you in ways you never imagined. Pressure has a way of walking into your life without asking if you're ready. It shows up in moments when you already feel stretched, when you're trying to hold yourself together, and it quietly pushes you a little further. Most people see pressure as a sign that something is wrong. They think it means they're not strong enough or capable enough. But pressure doesn't come to expose your weakness. It comes to reveal the capacity you've been carrying for years without realizing it. You don't discover your real strength when everything is comfortable. Comfort hides your power. Comfort keeps you sheltered in routines you've mastered. But the first time life leans on you, the first time you're forced to stand in a place that makes your voice shake and your heart race, that's when you find out who you really are. Pressure introduces you to the version of yourself that doesn't back down. It shows you the part of your character that can stand in uncertainty and still move forward with determination. Think about the seasons where you felt the most overwhelmed. You probably didn't notice it then, but you were growing. You were learning how much you could carry, how much you could overcome, and how much grit you had left in you even when you felt empty. When you look back at those moments, you don't see failure. You see the strength that rose to meet the moment. You see the resilience that didn't exist before the pressure came. Pressure stretches your mind and your spirit. It shows you there is more inside you than you've been using. It forces you to think differently, act differently, and rise differently. It pulls you out of the familiar and into a place where you have to depend on focus, courage, and clarity. It doesn't matter how strong you felt before. What matters is the strength you discover while you're in the middle of the struggle. This is why pressure is never your enemy. It may feel heavy, but it's building something in you. It's clearing out doubt. It's sharpening your instincts. It's training your endurance. It's strengthening your voice. When pressure pushes against you, it's not trying to crush you. It's trying to introduce you to a version of yourself that can stand through storms, speak with conviction, and carry more purpose than you ever knew you had. So when pressure comes, don't assume you're at your limit. You're meeting a deeper part of yourself for the first time. When life gets tough, something interesting happens to your attention. The noise that usually fills your mind starts to fade. The things that once felt urgent suddenly lose their power. Hard times have a way of stripping life down to what truly matters. They pull your focus away from the surface and point it toward the things that hold real weight. It's almost like pressure turns down the volume on distractions so you can finally hear what your purpose has been trying to say. Challenges make you more aware of where your energy is going. When everything is easy, it's tempting to pour yourself into routines that don't help you grow. You waste time on people who don't value you, habits that drain you, and commitments that don't move your life forward. But when life tightens around you, your sight sharpens. You begin to see which paths are empty and which ones have potential. You notice the difference between what feeds you and what only keeps you busy. In the middle of difficulty, clarity rises. You find yourself asking better questions. What really matters? What deserves my time? What needs to be released? That kind of clarity doesn't usually show up in seasons of comfort. It shows up when you have too much on your plate and you're forced to choose. It shows up when you're tired of carrying weight that doesn't belong to you. It shows up when life pushes you to evaluate what's meaningful instead of what's merely familiar. Hard times help you see how much unnecessary pressure you've been living under. Maybe you've been chasing approval that doesn't give you peace. Maybe you've been holding on to expectations that were never yours. Maybe you've been busy but not productive. When life challenges you, it exposes all of that. It reveals the distractions that have been taking your attention and blocking your growth. This sharpening of focus becomes a gift. It teaches you how to move with intention. You begin to use your time with more care. You start choosing relationships, goals, and habits that support your growth instead of draining your energy. You stop fighting battles that aren't worth your strength and start pouring yourself into things that align with your purpose. So when tough seasons come, notice what falls away. Notice what becomes clear. Notice how your mind begins to sort what matters from what doesn't. That clarity is not an accident. It's the refining power of challenge guiding you back to the core of who you are and what you're here to build. Resilience is something people admire, but they often forget where it comes from. It isn't born in calm seasons or quiet days. It's shaped through moments that repeat themselves, the kind that force you to stand up again, even when you're tired of standing. Every setback, every disappointment, every unexpected obstacle becomes another layer of strength. You don't become resilient in a single moment. You build it through a series of experiences that test you, stretch you, and ask you to rise one more time. Think about the times you've bounced back from something you thought would break you. It wasn't the single moment of recovery that built your resilience. It was the journey. It was the late nights you spent trying to find a way forward. It was the mornings you got up even when your heart was heavy. It was the small decisions you made every day to keep going. Those repeated efforts shaped you more than any success ever could. Each challenge teaches you something about endurance. You learn how to adapt. You learn how to focus under pressure. You learn how to navigate uncertainty without letting fear take control. Over time, these lessons start to stack. What used to shake you doesn't shake you the same way. What used to intimidate you doesn't carry the same power. You begin to realize that resilience grows like a muscle. The more it's used, the stronger it becomes. Life will always bring moments that feel heavy, but those moments give you practice. They teach you how to hold steady when the ground feels unstable. They show you that falling isn't the end of the story. It's just another chance to rise with more wisdom than before. Every time you push through something difficult, you're proving to yourself that you can handle more than you once believed. Resilience also changes how you see yourself. Instead of viewing challenges as signs that you're failing, you start to see them as opportunities to refine your strength. You become less reactive and more grounded. You stop expecting life to be smooth and start trusting your ability to navigate the rough edges. That shift creates confidence from the inside out. Over time, resilience becomes part of your identity, not because you avoided challenges, but because you faced them, learned from them, and refused to let them stop your progress. You realize that the power to continue isn't given to you. It's developed through repetition, through persistence, and through the quiet decision to rise again, even when rising isn't easy. The way you think in difficult seasons shapes everything that comes after them. Your mindset becomes the lens you look through, and that lens can either pull you forward or block your progress. When life gets heavy, it's easy for your thoughts to drift toward fear, doubt, or frustration. Those thoughts don't just stay thoughts. They turn into choices, actions, and habits that influence the direction of your life. If your mindset shrinks under pressure, your movement shrinks with it. If your mindset stays steady, your steps stay steady too. Hard times challenge your inner conversation. You start asking yourself if you're capable, if you're strong enough, if you have what it takes. And the direction of that conversation matters. The words you speak to yourself can either weaken you or lift you. You don't need loud confidence. You need a grounded mindset that says, I may not have everything figured out, but I'm still moving. That kind of thinking creates momentum. Even when circumstances feel uncertain, your mindset shapes how you interpret what happens to you. Two people can face the same difficulty, but the one who sees it as a dead end stays stuck, while the one who sees it as a challenge finds the strength to keep going. That difference isn't luck, it's perspective. When you decide to view challenges as part of your growth rather than signs of defeat, you unlock new ways to respond. You make decisions from clarity instead of panic. You act with intention instead of reacting out of fear. A strong mindset doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you choose how to respond to it. You learn to separate your situation from your identity. You recognize that a hard season doesn't mean you lack ability. It simply means you're being stretched. When your mindset is grounded, your emotions don't dictate your direction. You may feel overwhelmed, but you keep moving. You may feel uncertain, but you keep choosing what supports your growth. This is why your thinking matters so much during setbacks. The moment your thoughts collapse, your posture collapses. You stop trying, you stop believing. But when you protect your mindset, you protect your movement. You create room for possibility. You leave space for progress. You strengthen your ability to make decisions that lead you forward, not backward. Your mindset is the engine behind every action you take. When it stays steady, you move with purpose. When it stays hopeful, you move with courage. When it stays focused, you move with clarity. And even in hard times, that kind of thinking keeps you advancing when everything else seems designed to slow you down. Growth rarely shows up wrapped in comfort. It usually arrives disguised as something unfamiliar, something that pulls you out of your usual rhythm and asks you to stretch in ways you didn't plan for. Many people want to grow while staying in the same routines, the same surroundings, the same patterns that feel safe. But real growth doesn't happen where everything is predictable. It happens when you're required to step into places that challenge your confidence, test your patience, and push you beyond what feels easy. Discomfort has a way of exposing the areas where you've settled. It reveals the habits you've outgrown and the limits you've accepted without noticing. When life nudges you into situations that feel awkward or overwhelming, it's not punishing you. It's showing you the edges of your potential. You start to see where you've been playing small, where you've been avoiding responsibility, and where you've been resisting opportunities because they require more courage than you're used to giving. The moments that make you uncomfortable are often the same moments that prepare you for the next level of your life. A new responsibility can feel intimidating, but it teaches you how capable you really are. A shift in your relationships can feel painful, but it clears space for healthier connections. A challenge at work or in your personal life can feel stressful, but it strengthens your ability to adapt. Growth is happening beneath the surface long before you see the results. When you lean into discomfort instead of running from it, you start discovering parts of yourself you didn't know were there. You notice that you can learn faster than you realized. You notice that you can hold steady under pressure. You notice that you can make choices that once scared you. And with each step, your confidence grows. Not because everything is easy, but because you're proving to yourself that you can handle what once felt impossible. Discomfort asks you to trust the process even when you can't predict the outcome. It teaches you patience. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you resilience. Most importantly, it teaches you that progress often feels uncomfortable before it feels rewarding. You're being shaped, stretched, and strengthened in ways that comfort could never provide. So when life places you in unfamiliar territory, don't pull back. Stand in it, breathe through it, move with intention. You're not being pushed into discomfort to suffer. You're being guided toward a version of yourself that's stronger, wiser, and more capable than the one you were before. Hope isn't something that floats into your life only when things look bright. It's something you choose, something you practice, especially when the weight of your situation tries to convince you that giving up is easier. A lot of people wait to feel hopeful before they move forward, but hope doesn't usually arrive as a feeling. It arrives as a decision. It shows up when you tell yourself, even in the middle of uncertainty, that there is still room for things to get better. Hard times can make hope feel out of reach. When you're carrying responsibilities, facing setbacks, or dealing with situations that drain your energy, hope can feel like a distant idea. But the truth is that hope grows stronger when it's exercised in difficult moments. That's when it becomes real. That's when you discover that hope isn't about ignoring reality. It's about refusing to let reality shut down your spirit. Practicing hope is choosing to believe that your current situation is not your final destination. It's reminding yourself that progress often starts quietly, long before you see any results. It's deciding to take small steps, even when those steps feel slow or uncertain. Each time you choose hope, you strengthen your ability to keep moving. You give yourself permission to breathe, to regroup, and to try again. Hope influences the way you interpret moments of struggle. Without it, every obstacle feels permanent. With it, challenges become temporary. You begin to understand that setbacks don't erase your future. They shape your strength. Hope gives you a way to navigate hardship without losing your grounding. It keeps your thoughts steady and your emotions from taking over. It gives you a reason to rise each morning, even when the path isn't clear. Hope also changes how you see yourself. Instead of viewing your life through the lens of what's missing, you start to notice what's possible. You begin to identify opportunities in places where you once saw limitations. You become more patient with your journey and more trusting of your ability to grow. Hope anchors you so you don't get swept away by frustration or fear. With practice, hope becomes a habit. It becomes a quiet strength that guides your decisions. It helps you stay open to new solutions, new ideas, and new beginnings. Hope doesn't remove the challenges you face, but it gives you the courage to face them without losing your sense of direction. And over time, it becomes one of the most powerful tools you have for rising through hard times with clarity and confidence.